Hey everybody, Izola here with Flick Direct, and welcome back to another episode of Flick News, where I try to give you at least some of the information that's been released in movie news this past week. So grab your popcorn, sit back, relax, and let's get this started. I honestly didn't know what to start with this week because so much has been released in movie news. So since we've been talking about Deadpool and Wolverine for the last 3 weeks, I thought maybe I should go another route. But then I remembered I have a couple things to update you on with that. First off, remember a couple months ago after CinemaCon, I told you that there was a potential Deadpool Wolverine pre-trailer, basically where Wolverine's cursing because someone's phone is going off. We weren't sure if they were going to release it. Well, they are. And if you do want to actually see it, I will get you that clip so that you can watch it after you watch this. It is hilarious. Some versions are bleeped out, but others aren't. I'll give you both of them. You can decide which one you want to watch. Also, there was a little Easter egg that if you watch the most recent trailer, right after Wolverine kind of walks past a brick part of the building, there is a QR code. And that QR code leads you to a video from Ryan Reynolds. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will also link that below. That's all I'm going to talk about with Deadpool and Wolverine. I think we don't want to give away too much because it's just around the corner. Don't have to wait too much longer. Okay, so now on to the new stuff. We just got the trailer for Captain America, A Brave New World. And we get to see Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford face off in this new thriller, which is what they're calling it, but I tend to think of Marvel movies being action-adventure, but who knows? That could change our minds when we see the movie. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see until after. Now, it's been about 5 years since Steve gave Sam his shield, and we got to watch Sam struggle with having the shield and what responsibilities came along with that. Honestly, I would not want that responsibility. It's with great responsibility comes great power. I know, wrong Marvel movie, but you get my point. Now, we finally pick up where we left off, and the trailer gives us a lot to kind of digest. We have explosions, we have funerals, lots of Easter eggs. I mean, it's jam-packed with a lot of stuff, and you may have to watch it more than once to make sure you didn't miss anything. Or don't, just so you're more surprised when you see the movie or those scenes that could potentially pop up. It really looks, based off of the trailer, like Marvel is kind of getting back to its roots, I guess you would say. I think that after Endgame, there were a lot of misses when it came to what they were releasing. But after watching this trailer, I'm feeling fairly confident, although I am going to leave my expectations low. But again, confident that they could be back on track and we're going to get the really well-made movies that we have been missing. Captain America, A Brave New World is set to be released in cinemas on February 14th, 2025. Not a bad way to spend Valentine's Day, if you ask me. In other news, remember last week when I told you that Horizon Part 1 from Kevin Costner was a huge flop? More money went into making it than came out. Well, New Line Cinema decided that they were going to pull the plug on the August release date. So for any of you that saw Part 1 and wanted to see Part 2, it's either not getting released or you may have to wait a lot longer. So why did Horizon Part 1 do so poorly? Was it because Kevin Costner was too ambitious with his story? He took too many liberties with rewriting history? Or is it because television and movies are overly saturated with this type of genre? Not entirely sure. I think it would help to see the movie to be able to answer those specifically. However, like I said last time, I just don't know if that's something that I can watch right now, especially with all of the negative reviews that have been put out. I do have to say, though, that this does remind me of when all of those vampire movies were coming out. By the time the last one, I think Vampire Academy was released, we were all so sick of vampires that although the book was good, the movie just flopped big time. So that could be the case here as well. Oversaturation just can kill a movie or a television show. I think it's safe to say that they will eventually release part 2 of Horizon because, look, they've already put the money towards it and it's completed. But I do have to agree with the pulling of this because August is right around the corner and you have movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, Despicable Me 4, and you know those movies are going to bring in a lot of revenue. So I think with part 1 that probably was the case where just some great movies came out at that time and nobody went to see it. You don't want a repeat of what happened last time, so probably a good idea. Again, we don't have any additional information on this, but if we do get a release date or if they're completely canning it, I'll let you guys know. In other trailer news, the long-awaited Gladiator 2 trailer was released this past week, and it left you on the edge of your seat wanting more. It's been over 2 decades, I believe, since we last were in Rome, watching Russell Crowe's character Maximus walk into the Colosseum. Well, now we're back, but we're following Lucilla's son Lucius, who is played by Paul Mescal. We are introduced to the new characters, and this is a star-studded cast to say the least. You have Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal, and there are a few others, but I'm going to keep those a secret for now because I would like to see if you can recognize who they are. Sometimes those Roman haircuts just really confuse you as to who people could be, but I think you might be able to at least recognize one of them. I would also like to throw up a disclaimer that no animals were harmed in the making of this movie/trailer. When you watch this, you will completely understand what I'm talking about because there's a wall slamming scene, and we'll leave it at that. Gladiator 2 is set to be released in cinemas in November of 2025, so stay tuned. I'm going to end this week a little differently and unfortunately on a sadder note, primarily because we had 3 losses in a very short period of time and they kind of hit a little closer to home, so I thought that maybe we could just share a little bit of their lives with you at the end of this episode. First, on July 11th, we lost Shelley Duvall. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of who Shelley Duvall is, you would probably remember her from The Shining. But for me, as a kid, I grew up watching the live-action version of Popeye. Shelley Duvall played Olive Oyl and Robin Williams played Popeye, and I absolutely loved that movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. I think the last time I saw it was on Amazon Prime, but I'm sure it's on a lot of streaming services and probably will be now of her passing. Shelley Duvall died at the age of 75, and it was just 4 days after her birthday. Next, we have the lovable and eccentric Richard Simmons. I remember seeing him a lot on television when I was growing up, sweating to the oldies. There were also lots of commercials, and you would always see just tons of people gathering and working out, and his energy was just so infectious, would be the best word to describe it. Anytime people were interviewed, they would just talk about how inspiring Richard Simmons was and how he helped them through emotional stress and weight loss. Richard Simmons passed away July 13th, which was one day after his birthday. And finally, Shannon Doherty, who was best known for her roles in Heathers, Beverly Hills 90210, and Charmed, lost her 9-year battle to breast cancer. She was 53 years old. She was first diagnosed in 2015 and since then had been talking about her journey in battling this disease. Her transparency and candidness about the illness and death really helped those affected by cancer. She once said in an interview, "I think what's beautiful and hard and interesting about cancer is that it tears you down and builds you back up. It remakes you so many different times. The person I thought I was supposed to be or was going to be, or who I thought I was 6 months ago, is now somebody completely different. And I realize, wow, I really thought that I was so brave and so gracious this entire time, and really I was just hiding." I also wanted to share an Instagram post that Shannon had shared some time ago because it was just beautiful. It's a picture of Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and Charlie Brown says, "We only live once, Snoopy." And Snoopy responds, "No, we only die once. We live every day." And that's exactly what Shannon Doherty did until the day she died. And with that, this concludes this week's episode of Flick News. Please be sure to like and subscribe to all of our channels so you don't miss out on any entertainment news. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!